In this video, we're going to talk about mail alerts. Um, Mail alerts are pretty self-explanatory. They're email alerts that get sent from Blockworks. So what we'll have to do to look at the mail alerts is first set up an actual mail alert itself. And the second part of it is the implementation of that alert. So we're going to go to admin and development, just like I did there. And there's a bunch of different options here, most of which we won't look at for now, and we're going to save for other videos. So the mail alerts is in the admin and development. Click there, and we already have some email alerts from previous ones. So this is the place where you actually manage your alerts that go to an inbox. The idea is that these alerts are then implemented or kind of called by a block. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just set up a new alert. Let's just say order alert, and then we have an email subject, and we'll say email alert subject. You have a new order. There's a few options here which have actually become legacy, so we're going to be removing them soon. So for now, you can actually just ignore filling out this section. You can untick this and just click at any date. But in our next version, this is actually going to be gone anyway. The same actually applies for this. So the mail alerts comes from another legacy piece of functionality that we have, and a lot of this does not apply anymore. And for this reason, in our summary, we will be ignoring some of these options, because by the time you might be even doing this course, some of these won't be here. So then there's two ways the body of the email can be filled out. One is our legacy one, which is just alert text, some text that would appear in the body. And the second one, which is our more advanced modern one, is the dynamic alert editor. And by using this, it doesn't use this alert text. It uses this editor instead. Hello, this is a mail alert. So we touched on field slugs in the previous video, and we're going to touch on them again. It's possible to pass information from a block into an email, and we do this using a field slug and a certain format. So I'm just going to say information from the block is the following. And here's the format. So you do a $sign and you do the curly brackets and then your field slug inside it. Like I said in the last video, a field slug is basically a kind of a unique written ID of the field. So I'm going to say information field. And you'll see in a few minutes what I mean by this. I'm going to press submit. And for this particular example, we're gonna decide that the user that receives this email alert is going to be an email that we'll just place in here. So I'll just say Blockworks demo at mailinator.com. Mailinator is a handy way of being able to just test public inboxes and stuff. You can also ignore these settings. Again, these are going to be legacy, and by the time you might be doing this video, some of these will be gone. So I'm going to click alert, add alert. So now we have order alert set up. So now let's go back to the calling or implementation of this alert. The first thing I'm going to do before I go is just take one last note of this. So information field is the name of the field that we're going to use. So I'm going to go back to home, and we'll go into our simple inventory module, and we'll just so let's just pretend there's a new order. Add the block. I'll move this to the start just for sequence. So remember that the field was called information field. So I'm going to call the field information field. So I'm going to scroll down and show you something that's related to you can get your list of field slugs down here, list of available field slugs. And in this case, information field is the one that we're using in the mail alert. And now I'm going to create the mail alert field. So there we are, it's on the right hand side, the mail alert, send alert. So now choose the alert we want to send. So now we have the alerts that we had set up in the admin section. So I'm going to pick order alert. Attach template is something we can look at in the future when we've moved on to our template generation. And we'll say apply on new submission and maybe apply when editing. You can also manually send it with a button, just like the cross-block data manipulator. And you can actually run the email alert on the schedule. We'll touch on that in a while in this video. Press submit. So now I'll just get back the alert again in a different window here, mail alerts and order alert. And I'm just going to take note of this Blockworks demo and load up Mailinator. And put in Blockworks demo. So it's an empty inbox at the moment. So test this field for information. I can press submit. And the submission, you might have noticed, just takes that little bit longer to finish. And the reason that is because it's actually sending the email. And now we have here Blockworks emails. You have a new order. And as you can see, hello, this is a mail alert. Information from the following block is the following. Test this field for information. So as you can see, we created a field and piece of data in a block, and we were able to associate an existing mail alert with this block and data and then send it in an email. So now let's update everything here to make it more applicable to an inventory system. Let's pretend someone in the company wants to order a part. So let's say part number. We'll change this one. And we'll say quantity. And we're going to do a new field. I'm going to introduce you a new field as well here called the logged in user logged in users information field. So current user and choose user info required. We're going to say the full name. So what this does is by default, it loads the full name of the current user logged in. And just some tidying up there. And I'm going to show you a new option as well for hiding stuff, but keeping it working but hiding. And that's choose hidden options for this field and visually hide in the form but remain functional. So that keeps that field here, keeps it functional, but when you go to the front end, you can't see it. So let's update the mail alert as well. So we have part number, quantity, and current user. So I happen to have this open, and let's just say you have a new order. And we'll make use of the fact that this is an editor, and we'll add a little table. Insert table, and what was it, part number, and we'll use our format. So part number. If you need to, if you need to know the field slugs again, you go back to the edit side and you can scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see here your list of available field slugs. The format they usually follow is everything is lowercase and there's an underscore between each place that would have a space. So if you ever just need to think of them yourself on the fly, that's how you'll know. So quantity, and we'll just say ordered by, and what was that one called? Current user. That's perfect. Now we're going to press submit and press update alert. And we go back to the front end, and let's just say we're ordering some parts. So part 003, quantity 10, press submit. And let's open up our inbox again. You have a new order. Part number, part 00, quantity 10, ordered by Adrian Declare. And that is the kind of introduction to the mail alert field, and it's what enables us to communicate within the business or even send emails outside of Blockworks to customers or whatever. So the next thing we'll do in this video is we'll utilize some of the knowledge from the previous videos, and we will build ourselves a bit of a fancier ordering page. So I'm going to build a results box again. Current stock. And the block we're going to pick is live stock list. The fields we're using to look it up is the part number just. We only want to see, let's just say we don't want to care about the location. We'd say item name and quantity. We won't do anything else here. That's fine. Maybe we could sort by, no, we leave that. And we'll add in the total available. Total in stock. That's going to be a plain data field. And we'll call the rule after here. So to see what I'm doing here, this is explained in the previous videos. So the total required local field to populate is total in stock. Calculate total numeric, and we're using the part number as our lookup. So let's go part 003, and as we can see, it's probably a little confusing that they're just going to see a list of part numbers and list of quantities. So what we might do is put back in the location just for that. This is for tidying up really. That's not needed. It's for more UX. So the next thing we're going to do is try and figure out a way to see, is there just quantities of stock reserved and is there quantities that are fully available? And we're going to do this by using more counting of certain values combined with part numbers. So I'm just going to clean this up. I'm going to delete this data here. And that's the first one. So I'm going to use a plain data field to get us going first, and I'm going to call it status. And the next thing I'm going to do is give it a default value like reserved. And we're going to use this value to count. So there's one more small rule that we're going to add here, and that's called keep data for next scan. The scan comes from the notion that people are using scanners, but that really means keep data for the next entry. In future versions, we'll be rewording that. So when I submit this, what it means is every time you submit the block, this value stays in place. This rule can be applied to any field. And what I'll do just to demo it on the part number, for instance, is 1 second now, keep data for next scan, press submit. And what I'll do is just to show you, part 003, put in any number there, press submit, it's sending the email. And as you can see, this time the entry came in, but this time part 003 didn't get reset and neither did reserved. However, the other ones did. The current user doesn't get reset. Well, it does, but it gets reloaded every submission. So that one doesn't really need that rule. So now we have, we're going to just tidy up our data so we can see what's going on. Go to edit mode and scroll down to our data display settings. And let's just see the status. So we have part number status. I'm going to get rid of this send alert because that's actually a functional field that's not used. Quantity and current user. And I'll just change this to 4 so that it hides the other ones. And we'll press back in the browser. And that's a bit neater. I'll just do one more thing. So in the data display settings, you can set colors as well, much like the way you can do in the results box. So I'm going to say, well, reserved can be called orange and press create. And it tells you that the color is created. That can also be deleted here. So you pick your one that you just created and you press delete. So now I go back and we can see this part has been reserved. 5 of them have been reserved. At the moment, this in itself is meaningless, but let's dive a bit deeper into this. So I'm going to put in part 3 and there's just 10 in stock. So I'm going to do another total, which is count the total reserved. Total reserved. And that's going to be a plain data field as well. As you can see, the plain data field is quite common. So now we're going to get the total amount that have been reserved for that part number. So I'm going to add another rule to the same field. I'm going to just add it to the current stock. Keep in mind where you put the rule isn't as significant. It really depends on your timing and when you want it called and stuff. So now we're going to look up the same block, new order. Total required is the quantity. Local field to populate is total reserved. Calculate total of numeric. The part number must equal the part number. And what we're going to say is the status must equal the status. So it's going to look for part number and reserved basically, because the value of status is going to be reserved. So let's go to the front end and just test this out. Part 003, hit return, and as you can see, it's getting 5. So let's just say if someone put in an order for another 3, and we'll come back to this one, and now this total reserved is 8. So the next thing we'll do is apply a math field to see how much stock is actually available. So you've seen this a few times in the previous videos. Maths, stock available, and our field slugs, we'll say it's the total in stock minus total reserved. And I'm going to apply a rule to this one. Well, first what I'll do is I'll create another plain data field called, let's just say we'll call it can proceed with order. And this is going to be basically deciding if we can do the order or not. So can proceed with order. So now I'm going to have a rule here. Must be between two values. So you've seen this in action already. Must be greater than 0 and must be less than just a really high number. And I'm going to click manage response types. And here's a new feature to show you. No warning except basically means nothing happens even though this rule will fail. So if this is -5, you won't see anything on the screen, but you can still populate other fields with values. So select field to populate if the rule passes. Can proceed with order, we're going to say that's yes. And then select field to populate if the rule fails. Can proceed with order, no. So there is no custom rule response because you don't see anything on the screen, you just populate other fields. So, and I'll show you where we're going at with this. I'm going to put in part 003. Total in stock is 8. So let's say we're going to reserve another 5 more. Our stock available. 1 second now, we'll try and reserve 5 more. So now what happens next? We're down to -3. So I suppose the way I did that, I made an assumption that I didn't check could this amount be orderable. So I'm going to change things a little bit because I was still able to actually put in an order that's more than the stock available. But as you can see here, if I put in part 02, we have 20, can proceed with order, yes. But if I put in part 003, we have -3, can proceed with order, no. And I'll show you what we're going to do with this in a minute. But first, I just want to make sure that you can't put in more than the stock available. We'll just delete one of these just for just to have the stock in a positive way. So we'll just say quantity ordered versus stock available. And that's going to be a maths field as well. That's quantity. Well, actually, we'll start with stock available. We'll say stock available minus quantity. And then what we'll do is we put in the exact same rule that we have on stock available. And that's going to also populate can proceed with order or not. So basically, if the stock available is in the negative, or if the amount we're looking to order is greater, or yes, is greater than what we have, then we're going to say can proceed with order, no. So it must be between two values. And what I'm going to do is use the custom response. I'm going to say again, no warning except, so it will allow stuff to go through, but it's going to populate other fields. So can proceed with order for when the rule is passing is yes, and can proceed with the order when the rule is failing is no. So part 003, we hit return. We have 2 in stock. First we'll just do 1 and we see yes. We'll do 2 again, yes. And now we do 3 and we're at -1 and this goes to no. So the last thing we'll do is simple rule. Cannot be equal to no. And that's a nice elegant way of I'll just do a custom rule response. you cannot proceed with this order because you are attempting to order more than what is available. And that subsequently won't send the email alert, and it won't even allow you to finish. So part 003, and we'll say we're looking to order 3, and now we have our rule cannot proceed with this order because you were attempting to order more than what's available. Finally, we'll just do a bit more tidying up. So the only one I guess we're probably interested in seeing is the stock available. So I'm going to go to parameters and choose hidden options for this field. And again, I'm going to visually hide all these parameters, or visually hide these fields, sorry. Um, and even this status one we probably don't need. And this the send alert, that's already hidden. Let's go back to the front end again. And we've something a bit neater. We could even hide the total reserved because that's just used for functional purposes to do some maths. And there we go, total stock. We tried 3 and it won't let us do any more. If I do 2 and I press submit, and with that the mail then will have gone to put in that order, and we have 2 more reserved. So there's a lot of different things there, and I'm hoping there's enough in these videos that will now allow you to build a basic inventory system. Thanks very much. Bye bye.